Bienvenido a mi diario de Inglés Británico, un podcast para hispanohablantes que quieren entender inglés británico con confianza y progresar profesionalmente en el Reino Unido. Soy Shandon, coach nativo de inglés británico. Y sí, también hablo español. En cada episodio hablo en inglés británico real y conversacional, para que practiques tu comprensión auditiva y te acostumbres a cómo hablamos los nativos en la vida diaria. En este episodio voy a hablar de los primeros trabajos que hice para ayudarte a hablar mejor de tu trabajo y tu experiencia laboral en inglés natural y claro. Te recomiendo que escuches este episodio más de una vez. No te preocupes si no entiendes todo. Cada vez que escuches vas a entender más. Vale, empecemos. Welcome to episode 15 of the podcast. It's great to have you here. Work, of course, is a very important part of life. Apart from a very few people in the world, we all have to work at some point. I know that I am not part of the royal family, and you probably are not part of the royal family either. So we all have to work. Sometimes we like our work, sometimes we enjoy our work, but sometimes we just work to earn money. In English, we would say that our job or our work is a means to an end. So we just do it to earn the money that we need to live. So in this episode, I'm going to speak about work, and specifically, I'm going to speak about jobs that I've done in my life. Starting from the age of 16, I'm going to speak about the first few jobs that I did. I'll give you some details about the job. I'll tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and things that I learned from those jobs. So let's get started. So I had my first job when I was 16. So when I was 16 years old, I got my first job. This was a job with my aunt. I worked with my aunt and her now husband. At the time, it was her boyfriend, but the man who now is her husband, I worked with them. They had their own business selling food. They sold Jamaican food, so food from Jamaica. As I've spoken about before on this podcast, my heritage is from Jamaica. And so my aunt and her now husband started this business selling Jamaican food, mostly jerk chicken, which is one of the most famous dishes from Jamaica. My job there was to serve customers, take payments, and also prepare some of the meals as well. It was a very interesting job, especially because it was my first job. It was fast-paced and very hectic sometimes, but I really enjoyed it. Also, one plus of the job was that I got to eat some of the chicken too, which was delicious. One of the negatives of the job was that my clothes always smelled of food, which wasn't very pleasant. So that was my first job when I was 16. My next job I got when I was 18. And this was a job working in hospitality. I worked at hospitality events around London, at some of the main stadiums in London. For example, Wembley Stadium in northwest London, the Olympic Stadium, which is in East London, Lord's Cricket Ground, which is northwest London as well, and Twickenham, which is in southwest London. So I worked at different stadiums, sports stadiums around London. In this job, I mostly worked as a waiter, but I also worked as a bartender. What are the things that I liked about this job? First of all, I earned quite good money. So I earned quite a lot of money. On top of this, I also got lots of tips because I worked in some of the more expensive parts of the stadium. So I got a lot of tips while I was working at this job. I was also able to see some great events, some football matches, such as finals of the FA Cup, which is the main cup competition in England, and concerts like Adele's concert and Beyonce's concert. What didn't I like about this job? What were the negatives of this job? People treated me quite badly. People treat staff quite badly in general in hospitality. Often the customers are quite horrible and very rude. And of course, when you're working in hospitality as a waiter or a bartender, you have to deal with these horrible people, which I didn't like at all. So what was my next job after this? While I was studying at university, I started to work as a tutor. A tutor is somebody who teaches somebody else how to do something. So I started working as a tutor, specifically as an online tutor, teaching maths, Spanish, and economics to school children between the ages of 10 and 18. I liked this job because it was very flexible. It was a good way to earn money alongside my studies. So I could study, and outside of my lessons and classes, I could earn money by tutoring and teaching. This was actually the first time that I taught, and it gave me lots of the skills that I still use today as an English coach now. Okay, so then after graduating, I started a job in a pub. So of course, pubs are very common in England. It's one of our main places that people socialize. And I started a job as a bartender. What did I like about that job? The customers were very friendly. Pretty much everyone was very friendly, which was nice. The staff were also really nice and friendly, which I liked. But there were things that I didn't like. I didn't feel very motivated at this job. I felt bored lots of the time. So overall, I didn't like this job. Okay, so there you have a summary of the jobs I did in my early adult life. As you can see, there are a mix of different jobs, mostly in hospitality, but also with some teaching as well. Hopefully, this episode has helped you to learn some new vocabulary and better understand how to do and give descriptions about jobs so that you can speak more clearly and confidently about your job. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Gracias por escuchar este episodio de mi diario de Inglés Británico. Ya has dedicado tiempo a tu aprendizaje hoy, y eso suma más de lo que crees. Poco a poco, tu inglés va a mejorar. Si vives en el Reino Unido, y sientes que tu inglés te está frenando profesionalmente, te invito a hacer una evaluación de fluidez profesional gratuita conmigo. En esta sesión, analizo cómo hablas inglés hoy, identifico exactamente qué te está bloqueando y te explico qué necesitas trabajar para hablar con más claridad y confianza. No es una clase, es un diagnóstico claro y honesto de tu inglés hablado. Escríbeme por mensaje en Instagram para reservar tu evaluación. Dejo el enlace a mi cuenta en la descripción del episodio. Gracias y nos vemos pronto. Bye.